All right, and welcome to How to Text Girls Part 1. This is going to be a 6-part course here, walking through the skills you need to be successful texting women. Now, there's going to be tons of great texting examples, and these videos are going to be released on a weekly basis to help you get the skills you need. So, if you like what you hear, make sure to subscribe here for the weekly updates and the next parts to the course. And if you want any of the text messages we talk about in the video today, head on over to txtskills.com and download a free ebook with 300 proven text messages to send to women. You can get the ebook download to your phone, copy and paste it right out of the ebook into a text message, and boom, you're off and going. Okay, now on with the course and the 10 principles of texting. Principle number 1 is going to be humor. Humor is crucial when you're texting. It shows you are intelligent. It lightens the mood and makes it fun, not boring, right? It creates comfort between you two. And a good way to do this is silly, stupid jokes like dad jokes. And a good example of one here is, why did the cookie go to the hospital? Because he felt crummy. Haha, a stupid, funny joke to lighten the mood. When in doubt, always go for this. The jokes you want to avoid here are going to be ones that are very polarizing, like religious jokes, racist jokes, or sexual jokes at first. Sexual jokes come in later, but in the beginning, when you're first meeting someone, it can come across too creepy. So dirty jokes, a good rule of thumb is not until the boundaries have been established do you want to start to implement those sexual jokes there. So when in doubt, use humor. When you don't know what to say during text, which can be a lot, just pull out a silly joke and it'll save you. The second principle of texting is going to be your timing, right? And the time in between texts of when you send one and when you get one back and then when you next send one. You do not want to reply too soon because that's going to show you're needy and maybe being annoying. And you don't want to reply too late because if it's not enough, you're going to ruin the momentum and the tension. It might get boring. So really, you've got to keep a balance between the timing. It shows your interest involved with there. If she is less interested in you and really slow to reply, then reduce your speed, right, to match hers or even slow it down a little bit. And if she is responsive to you and is replying within a timely manner, then you can speed it up to increase the momentum of this. So a good example is if she replied to your text and you're replying to hers about every 20 minutes, right, and she's being responsive, maybe cut that in half and the next reply is 10 minutes. And then if she replies in 10 minutes, cut that in half again and reply within 5 minutes and carry the momentum up there. And you can kind of really build rapport a lot quicker with that. So a good rule of thumb, if you don't know when to reply, is going to be 10 minutes. So if you're wondering, okay, if she texted me this, I'm not really sure where I am with balance of interest and so on, just say 10 minutes and then reply. And also be careful of the time of day. Generally, you don't want to be texting too early in the morning. People aren't in a great mood. They're very busy getting to work or doing their things. And then too late at night, you run the risk of her being asleep and then not seeing it and not replying it the next day. It might be a little bit awkward, and it can come across creepy if you're texting at like 2 a.m. So that's going to be for timing. And then now principle number 3, text length. And you do not want to write a paragraph in the text, right? You don't want to be that big blue that comes through if you have an Android, a big green that comes through. You generally want to keep it short and witty, maybe 1 to 3 sentences max, and usually just one text message group. You don't want to be sending multiple at a time. Text message is not a good area to try and demonstrate value. So you don't want to be showing off and telling a story that's really long in text message. It just doesn't come across well in text messages. Not the right platform to do that. You do that in person, you do that over the phone, but definitely not in text. Principle number 4, role playing. One of my favorite techniques in text messaging. If you implement this today, you will see a huge improvement because it is so much fun to do. So role playing is very effective. It's great for openers. And what I mean by that, if you met someone on the app, like a Tinder or a Bumble or so on, it can be a great first line. It shows that you are fun. Here's an example of one. Let's go to Vegas and get married by a fat Elvis impersonator. It's just a fun kind of role play there that shows you're interested and fun and maybe a little bit spontaneous. And what's great about this is you can play it back a couple times. So you're going to Vegas and you're getting married. Then what's going to happen next? Maybe start planning your honeymoon or so on. You kind of continue with that role play. It's a mix of kind of using these inside jokes. And inside jokes is going to be the next principle we talk about. And this is really an effective technique to call back to certain situations. right? And once you kind of call back to that, maybe you've been texting for a couple days and then you call back to the Vegas joke you previously mentioned, it brings back that comfort you had and that same mood you had when you were talking about that. It also helps strengthen the connection and shows that you were listening. It can be also a good opportunity to tease them a little bit, which brings us to principle number 6, the idea of push and pull. And so push and pull is essentially a compliment with a tease, a bit of a mixed signal. The example I have here is, "You're pretty funny for being so young." And you can see here that "you're pretty funny" is a compliment, "for being so young" is a bit of a dig, a bit of a tease. And it helps balance the interest there. It makes sure you're not showing too much interest and being kind of blown out and getting put in the friend zone, but it's also you're not being too negative and you're not being mean there. So I would use a push and pull very carefully. I wouldn't use it right at first, but I would use it if you need to rebalance and recalibrate the interest going on there. And really what the benefit you get out of it is going to be, it's a mixed signal. It creates some interest. It shows some confidence that you're not just bowing down to her and you're not just doing whatever she wants and so on. You're taking some risks. You're being a little bit bold there. Just don't overuse it. Be careful when you use it. So number 7 is going to be the principle of escalating sex. And I'm going to do a whole part about escalating sex in a future release here. So this is just the highlights of escalating sex on text messages, some of the do's you want to do. But you don't want to push it, and that's going to be important here. You don't want to come across as a creep, right? You want to do it very lightly at first. This is before the sexual boundaries have been crossed. So you want to use light humor with it. And generally you want to do 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So by that I mean maybe you have 2 texts that might be sexual in nature, and then the next text you scale it back with something that's not sexual. So you're balancing out that you're not just fully rushing forward and being a creep. And you're going to judge this by her responses and so on. But generally it's something that's going to be very well paced. What you don't want to do here is you don't want to use cheesy pickup lines that are really vulgar and try and move too fast. You've got to be patient with the sexting. That's going to be key to it. You got to take your time with it. If you escalate too fast and be too vulgar, you're going to get blown out and she's not going to respond to you. So here's a good example of a really easy way to start escalating sex and working in sex to that text message conversation is that you watching me shower from outside the window. Just kind of a fun way to start talking about a sexual thing in nature. And then you can see here, I even replied, "You pervert," where I twist it on her a little bit. So use this to help escalate your sexual tension there. And really important note, do not send unsolicited nudes. Seriously, don't do it. Number 8 principle of texting is going to be teasing. And teasing is going to be situational. You don't have to use this. This is going to be an instance where you need to correct the balance of interest a little bit, right? If she is not showing a lot of interest or has pulled back to a little bit, or you have shown too much interest, you might want to incorporate this to correct the scale a little bit. And the benefits to it is it's going to make you a bit of a challenge, right? It's going to show your value and that your approval matters. And the example I have here, "How's my favorite nerd doing today?" So it's a playful way. You're calling her a nerd, which isn't a big tease. It's not mean or anything like that, but it's just kind of taking a little bit of a dig at her. Just be careful. Don't be rude. Don't be a dick, and don't hurt their feelings. That's not the purpose of a tease. You're not going out of your way to be mean. You're just kind of being playful and flirty with the teasing. All right, principle number 9, emojis. This is a simple thing to incorporate into your text. Just a no-brainer right there. And one of the challenges with texting is it doesn't communicate your tone, right? Your emotions in a text message aren't really communicated. It can be misread. It could be, is he being funny? Is he joking? Is he being mean? It's hard to interpret. So when you use emojis, it communicates that emotion and you can be fun with it. You can use dirty emojis like I have here. You can use GIFs. You can use Bitmojis. Anything to help mix it up, I think will show it. You don't want to do this in every single text message, but feel free to use it as a mix, again, to balance out there and have some fun with it and show some emotion in your text messages. Principle number 10 is tension. And this is just an overall general principle here to balance out the attraction. So when you're thinking about implementing all these things we talked about today, whether it be a role play or a silly joke or something dirty or some push-pull or items like that, you want to balance it out throughout it to balance the tension. So it's not like you want to do these things in order necessarily, where you do, humor first and then go down the order of the presentation. You want to use them selectively to keep the tension and balance between you two. So you might use a couple flirty jokes, right? And then you may use a couple teases, and then you may say something random, and then you may be going into escalating sexual tension. So it's kind of like you've got all these resources to use, and you're going to use a mixture of those to really escalate the sexual tension there. All this is to help you come across as this attractive individual who's confident, who kind of makes yourself appear as a challenge, who's interesting and intelligent. And these are things you can communicate on text, just with the stuff we talked about today. So I hope you like the 10 principles of texting. Subscribe for the other parts that are going to be coming by. If you want free ebook here, head to txcskills.com and get the free ebook with 300 proven text messages to send to women. Thank you guys. I look forward to the next video.